everybody. It is July 15th. Welcome to the Fifth Avenue podcast presented by Fifth Avenue Cinema, Oregon's only student-run cinema. Coming to you somewhat live from the safety of our own home, socially distanced from the people that we love, unfortunately. Makes me want to cry. Giving you the latest in all things cinema and everything that comes with that. My name is Tracy. I am the host of this podcast, formerly 35mm projectionist. I still have that skill, I promise. And this week, not really a shout out, and I don't really want to. I didn't mean to start this off in a sad tone, but just R.I.P. to Naya Rivera. Blessings to her and her family and her son. Yeah, that's all I got.
This is Maddie, the cinema coordinator and producer of the pod. I would like to give a quick shout out to my mom for sending me videos of my dogs at home being stupid and goofy, because I really have not been able to experience the joy of just being around an animal and seeing stray cats on the walk. The walks I go on with my housemate and actively not being able to touch them, I'm like, this is painful. I know we're allergic. I'm allergic to you. You might not be allergic to me, but I miss that. It's a very white thing. I miss my dogs. Yeah.
Whoa, hey. I miss my dogs too, man.
Machiavelli will consistently give me shit and be like, don't be the white level of loving dogs. And I'm like, I have a dog the size of a person. It's really hard to not love him. Like,
I mean, I think the only way you can get to that is if you let them lick you in the face, on the mouth. That's called Cassidy right there.
I can't say that I would willingly do that. I've seen where my dog's mouth is, and I'm good. On a
Fair.
Lighthearted note.
Fair.
This is Nayeli, the podcast editor. Woo!
Wow.
Damn, when did we all get so awkward?
Shout out to my boyfriend for making a really good grilled cheese just now. That was my dinner. And I don't eat grilled cheeses, man. I grew up on quesadillas. I have probably eaten 3 grilled cheeses max in my entire lifetime as a 21-year-old.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Especially at this age, I feel like you would eat them more now.
No, because I grew up eating only Mexican food and sometimes pasta.
I mean, quesadillas are adjacent.
Yeah, they're adjacent.
Yeah.
It's carbs and dairy and goodness. But
here's the thing, I can put beans in quesadillas.
Woo!
That's very true.
Man, I've already did the shout out and everything. I don't want to occupy this, but shout out to, does anybody remember that Mexican food cart on around the corner from Fifth Avenue Cinema?
On 4th?
Yeah, the one that's part of that parking structure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the one that's next to the coffee one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to them because their quesadillas are fire. The last thing I had there was it was a it wasn't carne asada. It was one of some meats, and it was a quesadilla, and it was as big as my face. Oh man, I miss it.
I've only eaten there once when I still ate meat. And all I remember was that the meat was dry.
La Casita?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Across from the rec center.
We're ignoring what Nayeli said. But yes, man. I will not take no slander of my people.
What do you mean they're my people? I
meant my people at the
Mexican
cart.
Food.
I meant my people at the cart, though. I understand your opinion on it. It comes from a place of,
I understand your opinion of being Mexican and having an opinion on Mexican.
I understand that. I value that, but at the same time, though,
You stand with her. You stand against her, actually.
No, it's what have people been saying? What have people been saying? It's
I don't remember.
I hear you. I see you. I don't understand. I don't relate, but I understand. I see you.
Yeah. I don't even know.
I'm about to white ally you now, Lily. I'm sorry.
Well, on that note, I'm Owen, the publicity coordinator here at Fifth Ave, and my shout-out's going to go to my dentist for fixing my tooth that I got a filling on. It made my teeth hurt. They fixed it for free. Thank you.
Oh, oral hygiene.
Yes.
It's the way to go.
All right, so this week of this real cute ass podcast. We're talking about direct to video / DVD sequels. We all have our own experiences with them. One of them that comes to mind for me is Lion King 2, Simba's Pride or whatever, which direct to video and / DVD sequels always get a bad rap, but some of them are good. And Simba's Pride is good. All right, I wanted to know what happened after Simba became a king, and I got that. So, you know, like, I can't be mad like that. But then there's, I don't know, does anyone have like a bad one off the top of their head?
Maybe the one that I watched for this pod, S.Darko. 2009 sequel of Donnie Darko, which exists for some reason. And I was like, I wonder why I haven't heard this, being as I used to run actively in the little goth worshipping circles of Donnie Darko in high school. And yeah, I mean, I was thinking about when Blockbuster went out of business, which is a whack fucking sentence to say out loud in 2020, but I bought Donnie Darko for like $1 because they were selling everything, and I live right by a Blockbuster, which like, you're 11 and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go get movies. I don't have money. I have $1 though. Sales tax in California, so it was like $1.09, whatever tax was at that point. But at this point, S.Darko had been made. It was made in 2009, and they somehow convinced the actor who plays the youngest daughter, who appears in maybe 5 scenes total, that they would give her money if she would do another movie, and it's bad.
They definitely didn't even have to rehire like that actress too.
I didn't realize it was
She
the
was
same
so
actress
bad.
because it's 9 years since they had made the last movie, and she had grown up because she was a child in the first movie. And I didn't recognize her. I was like, is this an Avril Lavigne knockoff woman? Because like not in a mean way. It's just she had that middle part that like early 2000s stick straight hair, like not eyeliner in the waterline, like underneath the waterline, and like
Get her.
Perpetually in a state of sad grunge. She's barefoot in half of it because this bitch sleepwalks too.
And what else?
Oh my god. The Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is apparently a hulked out tan white man.
Wait, hold on.
Who shoots
Maddie,
lightning bolts from his eyes.
Time out. I think we would do our listeners a disservice without at least giving a brief synopsis of S.Darko, because a lot of these things sound very very specific.
All right, so a brief synopsis of S.Darko. S.Darko was not at all written or endorsed by Richard Kelly, which was Donnie Darko was his first film. So they went, all right, we don't have a script. We're just going to rewrite the same movie, but it's going to be girls this time. And we're going to explain every plot point without explaining any of the major things we said. Because, you know, those are the obvious things, like allusions to kid abductions, like misogyny, murder of the church, and antichrist shit. A lot of Christ figureheads. And for whatever fucking reason, even though they shot the entirety of Donnie Darko in California, which was supposed to take place in Virginia, this movie is supposed to be them going to California, and it's shot in Utah. So don't know if they just couldn't afford Long Beach, which shout out to Long Beach. But
I mean, the budget was $4 million. So
I have no concept of how much money things actually cost to do in movies, though, because I'm poor and I'm never going to ever.
It's a lot of like logistical things. Like if a movie is shot on location, I'm pretty sure it costs more because you have to zone out areas. Like you have to like find places to like you have to rent out a house. You got to like
if it's on like and stuff.
Yeah, if you had to like if you're shooting on like a sound stage on like a production company's lot, like that cuts the cost, but it also allows you to do more things because you're backed by the production company. But it's like on location, it's like you gotta go through a bunch of stuff with the city that you're in and everything. Granted, I just looked into it. Donnie Darko 1, I guess. You can just say Donnie Darko.
This is an invalid sequel. So
that movie was made off of $4.5 million.
So
I don't know if that like 0.5 made a big difference.
The special effects. That was the 0.5.
No, I will say that the second movie had a lot more special effects. Like, the only special effects that I can think of in Donnie Darko that are visible are, like, the jet engine falling out of the sky and the wormhole stuff.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, little fun fact, all the scenes where they're, like, on a mountainside, they're at the nature reserve out by my house, and they just have a green screen behind that shit. Because, like, we don't... where they shot it, there aren't those mountains. That's not important, but that's just, like, oh, that understandably goes towards a budget. But S.Darko had, like, a lot of random, just, like, attempts at alluding to the main thing. Like, I will say, being a personal fan of Donnie Darko, the fucking soundtrack is just, like, bangers after bang. Like, it's just In Excess, Tears for Fears, Metallica, Duran Duran, Oingo Boingo. Like,
Funny Man.
Yeah, like, it just goes on. And then I'm listening to this movie, and I'm like, somehow this sounds like a ripoff of the soundtrack. Like, I know obviously these are songs, and I'm looking, and I'm like, they're all like
This is music, right?
Like, this is music, right? Like, this is uncopyrighted, like, you didn't pay any money for it music.
Me and Christian were watching it. He was like, I'm about to workshop these lyrics. What are these?
Yes, oh my god. Some of the things, like, I will say, they play the lyrics if you have the captions on, which, like, shout out to auditory processing gang. But, like, the lyrics just being like, you touched my throat, come, jizz, there's fire in the sky, and you're like, what is happening in the cohesiveness of this statement? Looking at it, and I'm like, man, I don't know. They did a lot of tropes where I was very confused, like, having bland white man actor number 5 put glasses on and slick his hair back and go, that's a nerd. I'm like, sure.
Oh my god, yes.
He's very conventionally attractive, but sure, that's a nerd. And they're like, the mania, he's gone psychotic because he interacted with, like, some alien thing, which we're not going to explain, because you get it, right? There are tesseracts in the sky now. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what do you mean?
Can I pivot on the whole nerd attract? Look, all of the men had square jaws.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Minecraft characters. Fucking Minecraft, bitch. Like, ugh.
And the way that they coded their characters through their clothing was just way too obvious. And it was so funny when, like, the nerd was, like, arguing with the Chad. I don't remember his name. The guy from Gossip Girl. And it's like, yes, the incel versus the Chad.
The guy from Gossip Girl plays, like, he's dressed like a greaser the whole time, which I'm like, okay, of course he works in an auto shop. And lo and behold, he works in an auto shop. The best friend, the thing that bothered me, and this is, like, a personal thing from dyeing my hair a lot, but, like, she has a strip of hair which changes colors throughout the entire movie, and I'm like, y'all are broke. Y'all are in the middle of fucking nowhere, which only has, like, 1 store and, like, 5 people. Where the fuck are you getting hair dye?
See, Maddie, y'all don't know the goth girls are early aughts. They put them little clip-in joints.
Yeah,
all the time.
that's what I thought. I thought they were just the clip-ins.
Tracy, I am aware because I was in love with those goth girls in the early aughts, and
but Maddie, in the early aughts, you were 2.
Yes. I was 2, and I looked at a goth girlfriend, and I went, mine, please.
That is valid. That's fair.
Yeah, S.Darko, they do a lot of shitty shit, really bad. Like, they have someone who looks a lot like Jake Gyllenhaal play the grandson of Grandma Death, who is in... Okay, so Donnie Darko...
Wait, what's his name? Iraq Jack?
But his name isn't Iraq Jack. They just looked at him and they went, oh, he's a vet of, like, the Gulf War? Or Desert... He's the...
Desert Storm?
Desert Storm. Jesus Christ, yeah. He's a veteran of Desert Storm, and it starts off with a cop who goes, I can't blame them for getting PTSD, but stop being a pussy. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck is this? Like, I just immediately angry for them, even though they're doing a really bad job. And also, like, they make him very hot and, like, purposefully dirty to the point where you're like, okay, so you just have never interacted with a homeless person somehow in your entire life, and you think that they're not people. Like,
I'm starting to think, like, was I better off not watching this, or should I have watched this?
I think
because, like,
I'm feeling exactly the same as you right now.
I don't know. Like, there are just so many elements of, like, they're kids being abducted, and so, of course, they blame the PTSD-ridden vet. And he does have his issues, because, like, granted, he is seeing sleepwalking visions, or sleepwalking Sam is going to him. Like, it's not ever clarified, but there's a lot of shit. Like, they make a lot of Christ similes in, like, the Donnie Darko movie does it so well in, like, giving you the space to think about it and ponder and being like, you know, adult figureheads are that of a figurehead. Like, they're not actually there to help you. They're in it for themselves, etc., etc. This one is like, priesthood guy, seems very nice. Oh, now he's trying to molest her. We did a bad job. Also, the marquee is backwards now for some reason, and we're in a movie theater for no reason whatsoever. And I'm like, what is happening?
It sounds like it has no connection to the first one at all.
Not at all.
Your explanation.
One thing I want to know is, where's Donnie in all of this? He's like in fucking college or
No,
something?
he's dead.
Oh, he's dead as fuck.
Word?
Wait.
Okay, so for anyone who is not familiar or doesn't remember, in Donnie
Whoops.
Darko, the majority of the movie takes place in what is called a tangential timeline, which means as soon as that ends, if it is ended, it never really happened, and it kind of tries to explain why deja vu is a thing. Like, it's another timeline acting out. So,
timeline,
yeah. So Donnie, to complete the timeline, has to get killed by the jet engine. So he dies.
Oh, yeah. Right, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
No, it's totally fine.
But, like, is him dying brought up?
Yes, often.
Mm-hmm.
And in the second movie, Iraq Jack, he has an actual name, but it's another J name that isn't Jack.
What does that term come from?
That's what the community, the townspeople call him.
He's in, like, the remnants of, like, a uniform, which is assumed to be from the army. I'm gonna say, and, like, I don't know if this is... I think this is kind of a classist perspective, but, like, I think they don't realize what does and doesn't cost money, because he has access to a lot of things, and they just are, like, looking at him, and they're like, yeah, it's because he's crazy. That's why he's, like, killing people and doing all this stuff, even though he's not ever interacting with people except to, like, take their shit that they're not using and use it, you know, like, resourcefulness. So it's really weird. But the gay guy, aka the nerd who isn't gay, the incel, thank you. Yeah, he becomes a crazy misogynist because there are tesseracts falling from the sky. Like, us explaining this to you is better than the Wikipedia does it, and the Wikipedia tries really hard to make it make sense, and it doesn't. Like,
the incel falls in love with Sam, and so he buys this pretty dress for her, which is the same dress that she wears when she sleepwalks.
Yeah.
And so they go up on the hill to, like, look at the fireworks because, the world's supposed to end on 4th of July. But then instead, like, meteors fall down, but he has this crazy rash from the previous meteor. And then he's like, this is amazing. I'm going to do so well because science.
He has a rash from the
Kiss
meteor?
me. Yeah.
What?
This is so crazy. This sounds like a fever dream.
Bruh, this sounds like every, like, fake deep student film I've seen over the years.
Okay, no, watching it the whole time, I will say something that Donnie Darko does really well is, like, wrap it up at the end for you to understand that there are two timelines going on. This one does it 3 times total, like, one where Sam dies, one where Corey dies, and one where neither of them die. But they physically show that everything is rewinding so that you know time turned back, as if seeing a person who was dead 30 seconds ago alive doesn't indicate that maybe there's something going on. But they're like, child abductions, war, all this shit is going on very quietly in the community, accusations flying, they found the dead bodies, and it's like, are you going to go back to that and explain it? And they're like, no. Sam finds the 2 missing boys' dead bodies, and they're just like, you're a hero. And she goes, the key belongs to that crazy religious woman. And she's like, no, you're a whore. No reason. Absolutely no reason. Like,
Hey, I don't know if y'all have ever seen I forgot what episode it was, but there's an episode of SpongeBob where I think SpongeBob was trying to explain something to Patrick, and then when it was like a close-up on Patrick, and all you hear is TV static. That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
Trying to, like, put the pins on the board, man.
you know the SpongeBob and Patrick with the lid Patrick? The lid.
Yeah.
Like, SpongeBob is every person who's ever watched Donnie Darko. The lid is a coherent plot, and Patrick is S.Darko. Like, that's just... Every time it added something else. I don't know. I will say they try to play it off as the reason that this needed to happen, like this movie needed to existed, was that because of Donnie dying, Sam doesn't get to have a dance career, is what is implied. Which, if you don't remember who Sam is as a character, because you probably don't, her name is said twice the entire fucking movie. And one is Donnie saying, "Shut up, Sam," and the other one is, "Sam, come here." So... she's the little dance troupe, and I think it's, oh god, it's Oingo Boingo playing in the background. It's when Donnie Darko is, like, burning down the pedophile's house, and there's, like, the dance troupe cut in between it. I can, like, picture
They go to California, and that's why he gets the plane thing to kill himself, basically.
Yeah, so, like, she's always dreamed of going to California. They don't go with the plot at all. Like, Owen just said more than the whole movie did about why it makes sense for them to leave Virginia and go to California. So...
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of very... it's a nonsensical movie that tries really hard to make you think, except the whole time you're going, why am I watching this? You're just thinking, why am I watching this?
And I think that is a very similar experience that happens with most sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And this one reminds me of Grease 2, which is...
We were this close without getting Grease 2. This close.
Because if you know Grease, which is it's a good musical, but has questionable lyrics and a questionable, a questionable message, which is essentially change yourself for the guy that you like. And so Grease 2 is the opposite, okay? The guy changes for the girl. Whoa. But
Fuck heteronormativity. We're changing the script right here, right now. Grease 2.
Yeah, and so it's very interesting how, it seems to be common for sequels to, like, follow the same formula, even though, like, because, like, it did well the first time, so let's do it again. But in both of those cases, it did not work out.
That's like, I'm trying to think of, like, a sequel that kind of does the same thing. That's, like, of, like, a popular movie, but I can't think. Oh, like Mean Girls 2. Like,
oh my god.
And like, I add that into Grease and into S.Darko because it's like, producers capitalizing on a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Donnie Darko was funny to me because Donnie Darko was a hit that no one saw coming. And even the director was like, yo, it's just a little movie I made. And then it blew up and it was like a cult classic. And they were like, let's make a second one, which makes no sense. And Grease makes sense because it's, it's popular. It was like, it was like a cultural conversation for like years. It makes sense why they make a second one, even though they can't strike lightning twice. But yeah, like Mean Girls 2, I think it was Maddie, you said like you have some experience with Mean Girls 2.
Oh, I watched Mean Girls 2 senior year of high school with a friend, like my best friend from high school, which shout out to Maya, who didn't know she was a lesbian. I did, and the whole time we went, are they lesbians? Like, that's just the whole thing, but I guess they aren't, and the movie ends and it's like, hit by bus again? We'll end it like the other one. It's what you wanted, right? And like that's it. It's really
it was seen a lot in the aughts. It was like, we have this classic that like people are like flocking to. There's like a conversation about it all the time. Let's make a second one, and it never becomes a thing. Everyone that I know that has a heartbeat that has seen this movie hates it, doesn't see what the point of it is. And the thing is, like, we talk about straight to video and straight to DVD, but there's also the ones that are like straight to like TV. Like, I think Mean Girls 2 like premiered on ABC Family, which should have already told everybody what was going on. And at the same time, it's like the idea of not having anybody that was involved with the first movie behind the camera and in front of it. Like, I think the only person that was still from like the first movie was, I think, Tim Meadows. Yeah, Tim Meadows was the only person left, and because he's the principal of the school in Mean Girls 2. So
right.
I get like, and that's rare. Like, that rarely happens.
Yeah.
Where like they keep some people. A movie that does keep some people keeps a lot of people. except for a beloved dog. I think she's a dog. Love interest is the extremely Goofy movie, the sequel to the Goofy movie. Both classics, and personally to me, and I think the extremely Goofy movie doesn't hit the same notes as the first one, but it takes like, I don't know, for me, when I think about it looking back on it, I think it low-key grows with the demographic that it built.
Because they go from high school to college. Like
like you start high school with Max Goof in the Goofy movie, and you watch him try to be cool and shit, and get the girl, that low-key looks like SZA. But yeah, like you start with that with the first movie, and the second one is seeing the relationship between, I sound so weird like analyzing a Goofy movie, but like I'm dead ass. Like you see like the relationship between Goofy and Max, and how it was a very like antagonistic relationship with or not antagonistic, but like Max was just not open to his dad's like overwhelming love in the first movie.
Yeah.
And then like when it comes to an extremely Goofy movie, you see that like that relationship is better, but it still has like its its fissures, because Max still wants to be independent, especially in college, which makes a lot of sense for a young dog. I don't know.
Dog.
But
He's a dog.
He's a dog. Yeah, he is.
Well, and I mean, it also shows a reflection of a single father who loses his job. Single father loses his job and can only get a job by going back to college, and it's like, looks like we're going to college together.
Maddie, I know we already did the episode about communism and no, Alien, Disney did not say furry rights.
No.
I rebuke that in the name of the Lord. We already
Disney can give rights to anybody. Disney doesn't like rights. Disney doesn't like treating their workers like people. Disney is awful, but an extremely Goofy movie is a banger. So
exactly, we already did the podcast about communism and animated movies, but I feel like in small ways, extremely Goofy movie touches on capitalism and how universities are pillars. I mean, shout out to PSU, love y'all. Are pillars of churning out workers, and that's it. And then because of that, we can't get regular jobs without a degree. My man Goofy Goof was I think he's like 40. I can't tell. He's like immortal animated character, but like he had to go back to school at 40 because he lost his job. But the thing is, he was able to get a job and go as far as he did without a college degree. And the fact that he had to do that says a lot. So shout out to extremely Goofy movie for that, but that's not the point. the point is this film decides to take an edgier, more like trendy way of looking at it, because it's like, the X Games, because the X Games were popping in 2000 in 1999.
Yeah, it was. Wow.
So it was like, college, X Games, we skateboard.
They also had slam poetry, which I feel like was like end of Riot Girl era, moving into the early 2000s when everyone was like, we can do this at home with the YouTubes, and yeah.
And it was low-key like a parody, but at the same time, I'm like, I know that was like, it was there for a reason, I forgot her name, the beat poet.
Snappy Snaps, Pretty Beret, yeah.
I thought that was her name. I was like, what?
Snappy Girl. Snaps, Beret Girl.
All she is named is Beret Girl.
She dates the best friend. What's his name?
Yeah,
it's Pete's son. PJ. I was like, it's Pete's son, Pete Jr.
PJ to God, because they treated him like he wasn't gonna bag her, and what happened?
Well,
I think she said she'd like.
I'm sorry, but to speak on that, even in cartoons, fat characters are only there to be funny. So the fact that PJ, one, gets the girl, but Maddie. Two, just completely grows into himself in slam poetry, something that he had never done before. He looks at that X Games stuff and he's like, "Yeah, we did this when we were kids. I don't think I want to. I don't know."
About to spit these bars though. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you what. But yeah, that. Extremely Goofy movie is, personally for me, it has a spot in my heart, because I don't know why, but I would watch it often, and I think it's because Disney Channel ran that shit on any night that they didn't have anything else going on. They're like, here's Extremely Goofy movie, baby, and they would never show the original, because for a long time I had not seen the original. My brother did.
Me too. Same thing with me.
Yeah, like my brother's like 7 years older than me, so I think he lived through a Goofy movie, and I think he actually saw it in the movie theaters. I never seen it.
Wow.
Like, I hadn't seen it as a kid early on, like before Extremely Goofy movie. I saw Extremely before I saw the regular one, so I had nothing to base it off of. I just know that Goofy was my favorite, like Disney character because he was funny. He was goofy.
He can ride a skateboard though, and like triple flips and whatnot. He's got it going.
He was getting it in. So I forgot to do like a synopsis of a Goofy movie. I mean, Extremely Goofy movie, but it's basically just that. You know, Max goes to college. He's like, "Yo, I'm out of here. Peace to Pops." He doesn't say bye to him though, which doesn't sit right with me. Cause, you know, Goofy's so loving, man. Like
drank the milk and then left.
He said, "All right, peace," and hit the road with the homies, and then now he needs his dad. And then like Goofy goes back to college because he lost his job. He finds cute little librarian lady who doesn't make fun of him for being from the 70s like Max does.
Well, she also gets really excited to be able to experience the 70s with them. Like, they go to, like, a disco bar together and, like, relive shit.
And she was excited that I think she's more inspired by the fact that he went back to school, and, like, the type of father he was, which is like, come on. Good representation,
I have a question. Are these characters coded to be non-white?
Okay, so I don't know if we wanted to put this in the podcast, but I'll say this right now. Goofy, Max, Roxanne, even though she's not in the movie, they're all black. The librarian lady is black as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I
any
said.
other questions?
The only one that feels 100% coded as white is the jock asshole head one.
The
of the
frat leader.
The frat leader. He 100% has the
course.
feel of someone who is there, like,
he's a TikTok house guy.
on his father's dime. Like, oh my god.
Nah, he's a young Republican.
Yeah, seriously.
That's what's his name? Because I was reading Bradley Uppercrust III.
Yeah, Uppercrust.
Is that his fucking name? You're joking.
I wouldn't
Bradley.
lie to you,
You know
Oh
it,
my
Bradley.
God.
Come on. But yes, Naomi, to quell your questions about Goofy lore. Yeah, black. All right. I have a picture up right now of Goofy with a fro. So
Yeah, no, he does. He has the fro.
Yeah, in the full suit when he comes into class, he's like,
the vibes.
he's like, I had to come in cool. What do you mean it's not cool?
Yes, I love that because it's so wholesome. Like, it's done genuinely out of, like, a really good place, and Max just is like, Dad, what the fuck? Like, it's bad enough you're here, don't embarrass me. And it's like, bro, you're not cool. Nobody's cool. It's all made up.
The thing about it is that, like, when I watched it as a kid, I wasn't at the point of, like, being embarrassed with my parents yet. So I was like, what's Max's problem? Like, I was always, like, annoyed by him. Like, if I watched it as a teenager, I would get it, because I'm like, yo, yeah, leave me alone, Mom, damn. But, like, I'm, like, 8, and I'm like, I love my mom. What's wrong with you?
See, I went to school with my dad being a teacher, so I feel like I, like, couldn't avoid that, so I never got it. And I was just like, what do you mean? You're just, like, at school with your dad. Like, shit, you have your support system right there? That's pretty fucking cool. Like...
He said when the bullies flame you, he says that he still thinks you're cool. What's up with that? You got love?
Yeah, that's love. Like, I don't know, like, who is listening to this, but I know personally, like, the only way you found out about, like, straight-to-video things at least personally, like, pre-internet, as far as, like, having ready access to see if movies are coming out, etc., was, like, walking the aisles of a Blockbuster, or then once Blockbusters died, like, going to the... Or Disney. Yeah, looking through the bins at Best Buy, like, that's what I remember, because I was just, like, I cheap and new media to consume, because this was pre, like, really having streaming platforms, or at least, like, in my household. So, I mean, the concept around wanting to make a movie that you don't think will do well in a movie theater setting, but will still have people who want to see it, seek it out and see it, I feel like is also kind of coming of age in that sense of streaming platforms. Like, you see a lot of shit that's like Netflix original, Hulu original, Amazon original. Amazon fucking owns so much, where it's like things that I did not know existed, and they're like, there's three follow-ups to that movie. I'm like, why? They're like, well, we had money and we didn't know what to do with it, so you seem to like that.
I feel like Netflix has a good balance of, like, actually good shows and movies that are straight to online versus, traditional media or So I wonder, why are so many straight to TV movies bad, but why are some of them good?
Well, the thing is, like, at least right now, those lines are blurred because it's not a negative to be honest, like, at this moment, it's not a negative thing for your film or TV show or whatever to go straight to like Netflix is a bag if you think about it. Like that's an accomplishment. But like let's talk about like the movies that like a lot of independent filmmakers are making that go straight to like video on demand, or they go like I know people like in person that I know that that have films on Amazon Prime because that's what gave them the platform. And in some ways, like I think it's a little bit harder now, or it's not even harder. It's just there's more options now. Like not everything has to go to the theaters. Like back then, it was like it had to go to the theaters for people to see it, and if it didn't, like people will see it, but it's always tinged with like a little bit of like, this premiered on, like ABC Family or whatever, as like a night special or 26 Days of Christmas or whatever. But like now it's like for independent filmmakers specifically, or even like big production companies or indie companies, you don't necessarily have to go the theater route anymore. Like you can, there's a possibility of doing it both. You got that money for that, but a lot of people will be okay just having it online, which I think it's interesting. It's hard to like transition to, but it's also really, it's kind of in a way, like, and it's funny because we talked about David Lynch and he like hates when people watch stuff on their phones, but like it's also like an accessibility thing where it's like we can get our stuff out to people easier.
Yeah.
So obviously Netflix has like a really good stake in this. Like Netflix is a big reason why there has been this like shift. But I wonder if I feel like YouTube also played a really big role in this.
Oh, yeah,
there's
definitely.
YouTube Red now. Like YouTube has its own streaming service. No one uses it, but they have it, and they do make and produce stuff with YouTube people. So that's probably why you don't really watch it.
No, I wasn't really talking about YouTube Red. I was more so just talking about the idea of people just uploading whatever they want onto YouTube.
Right.
That's fair. I mean, I think
people watching YouTubers as opposed to other things.
I mean, I think for me personally, like an example I can think of that isn't movies, but did kind of go through the runs of like this transition is the show Arrested Development. Because like that was on TV, and then it got picked up by a different network. Like I can't remember the transition, and then it was like Netflix picked it up and kind of carried it in the era when Netflix was mostly DVDs and like sending it to your house, and people actually watched it. So then they were like, okay, we'll produce another season and wrap it up, and it was successful. Like, and they had more money, and it was better quality. I mean, like, it's up to you if you like the show and where it went, but the kind of like going through that cycle of what works and what doesn't, like what gets people to seek something out. I mean, we live in an era of like everything's at your fingertips. So for people who want to get a movie out like independently, like people like Fifth Avenue Cinema, we want to uplift those voices because it's like, that's why we're doing this podcast. We want you to continue to have access to the film community and at large, but just in general, like keep in touch with the fact that independent filmmakers are still 100% making films and doing things right now despite the current circumstances. Like, we want those voices to be heard as easy as it would be if you like walking past the Blockbuster aisle where it's like 50 cents because they ruined this VHS, and I'm thinking about VHS tapes that can't be played anymore because VHS players are not a thing. Anyways,
hold on there. If you are thrifty enough, it is a thing. My cousin has a working VCR that she got from a Goodwill, and about 20 tapes, and she watches them like daily.
Wow.
See, I just get sad because my parents just got rid of their VCR, and I think about the bookshelf of VHS tapes that they have, and I'm like, damn, Monsters Inc., Chicken Run. Like, I know we already talked about Chicken Run. Toy Story. I'm like, there's so many childhood things. Like, why is that a weeb thing, Tracy?
No. My Cowboy Bebop comment.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn, Chicken Run is weeb now? Confirmed.
You didn't know Chicken Run's anime?
It's a British anime.
Exactly. It's just
Japanese
slower.
animated British show.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I mean, Shrek is just American anime, but we don't talk about that. It has an unlovable, like a hard to love protagonist. Come on, anti-hero. Come on.
I know this is not the takeaway from any of this, but like I feel like there's a difference between being arms deep sifting through like DVDs and Blu-rays, which now are like fucking cheap because no one is doing that. Like,
I don't know about that.
well, in the sense of thinking of like Best Buy Ready to Go Under, which was like one of the few places I can think of to like go besides like local stuff like Movie Madness, which is still open. Like, it's a different feeling than going through a streaming platform and being like, there's nothing to watch, there's nothing that intrigues me, because like you only have the judgment of looking at like a DVD cover. And I feel like that's kind of the appeal, at least to me personally, in something like straight to video, where it's like you're kind of taking a gamble because like this wasn't something that they either had the money to or thought would do well in theaters, but you're like, this looks like the Donnie Darko cover, which I will say the movie poster intrigues me because I go, did they make this into like teen romance, like angsty?
Wait, which poster are you talking about?
Oh no, I'm just thinking visuals as far as like a thumbnail on Netflix starts rolling into the trailer for the movie.
Yeah.
And so you kind of get a taste and you go, I'm not going to sit through an hour and 30 minutes of this, but I go, sequel, I know that title, I know that actor, and then I go, oh, I'm sorry that they convinced you to be in this, but I hope you got paid well.
Y'all, you don't remember like the straight to DVD like commercials?
Yes.
Because like I knew about like all the different iterations of Lion King because of the commercials that will like will pop up in between like me watching That's So Raven.
Yes.
And I'm like, Mom, we gotta watch that. But I'm like, damn, it's already out on tape. That's crazy.
I feel like I think of like the movies I can think of are a lot of Disney movies, which I mean Disney is billions upon like it's a fucking monopoly. So like
Jafar's Return or something for like the Aladdin 2. He ain't dead. Resurrection.
Yeah. I mean, I will say I don't remember. I know it was within 2020, but someone released the like lineup for Disney Studios of like what they were going to produce, and it was all sequels or remakes. So I mean, the formula of like if it ain't broke, don't fix it doesn't always work, but something like straight to video is kind of that gamble of like, are they going to do something interesting with this, or is it going to be S.Darko? Or it could be an extremely goofy movie, because I mean, I'm with Tracy, like that's what I saw first, because it was always on Disney Channel. Like,
always.
Shout out Disney Channel like 10 years ago and earlier. Woo. Now it sucks, but man, it was so good.
The programming was dumb.
And
like, come on, like one night, like the bill will be like, yo, Hannah Montana 6:30, 7 o'clock. That's a Raven. 7:30, Sweet Life Zack and Cody. Just boom, boom,
yes,
boom.
Yes.
Bro, I'm sitting in front of the TV for 2 hours and straight. Let's go. Or like even rewind that even back further, like Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, Phil Future back to back in one night. That's like candy flipping. And that's how I felt as like a 10-year-old watching all three of those shows back to back. That's the only way I can describe it. On a high.
Well, yeah, so if you're a local or just independent filmmaker, especially in the Portland area, Fifth Ave Cinema, we're looking for programming. Looks like it's going to be summer and fall, probably. And we want to show your stuff. So anyone, we're going to pay you. We have money ready to give you for your movie, and we want you to get it out to our audience, whatever that looks like. So, yeah, hit us in the DMs, email us, do whatever you can to get in contact with us. We want to show your stuff.
Beautifully said, Owen.
Thank you.
And on that note, thank you once again for coming back to your beloved idiots at Fifth Avenue Cinema. in the Fifth Avenue Cinema podcast, Oregon's only student-run cinema. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning back in with us. And always remember, of course, Black Lives Still Matter, defund the police, disarm PSU, and fuck Ted Wheeler.
Wear a mask, stay inside, respect everybody.
Distance.